Tim Wenisch is not only one of the most successful Hyrox athletes competing in the sport, but with a 15:30 in the 5k, a 33:30 in the 10k, and a 2:37 in the marathon, he's also one of the fastest runners as well. Last season, Tim racked up numerous wins in Hyrox events, set a world record in his age group, took second place in the Hyrox European Championships, and set a doubles world record with Michael Sandbach. Despite being forced to take some time off due to injury, Tim has returned to competition recently as part of a Hyrox relay team, who of course set a world record. In this episode of the Hybrid Experiment, we speak with Tim about how hybrid athletes can work on improving their running in the context of hybrid training. Tim is one of the friendliest, most approachable people in the sport, but he's a fierce competitor. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. So I'm here with Tim Wenisch, who is one of the fastest Hyrox athletes in the world, reigning doubles world record holder with Michael Sandbach. And really excited to talk to you today, Tim. You're one of the fastest Hyrox athletes we have and also one of the best runners in the sport. So to kick things off, can I start by asking you how important you feel running is for Hyrox? And is it possible to be competitive without being a pretty serious runner?
At first, thank you for your invitation. Yeah, running is a very important part of Hyrox. I mean, it's like 8 kilometers of running, so over the half of the time is running. So yeah, you should be very good at it. And for me, I think you can't be one of the best of Hyrox athletes if your running isn't very good. So you need to run very fast to be one of the top athletes, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you have any thoughts about specific benchmarks that competitors should aim for? So, for example, if someone's thinking, how good at running do I need to be competitive at Hyrox? Do you have any goals they should have in terms of how fast they can run 1,000 meters, like 5,000 meters, 10Ks or half marathons?
Yeah, so it depends how fast they want to be in Hyrox. So I think if you want to go sub 70 minute in Hyrox Pro, you should have a time on 10K about 40 minutes or faster. I think you should run in a Hyrox Pro race like 4 minutes per kilometer. So your threshold pace should be again 350 or 4 minutes, and that's the pace. What I should say, you should test it in your workouts. So for sub 70, 10K about 39 or 40, and a 5K maybe against 18 minutes or 19 minutes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For women, it's like Hyrox Pro Woman sub 80. You should run the 10K under 50 minutes. And like the 5K 23 or 24. So I say to my clients who want to go sub 80 that they do the Hyrox simulations with a pace about 5 minutes per kilometer or a little bit faster. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So those numbers, I think you might have better thoughts on it from you, but they're quite achievable, right? Like if you were to an athlete going into running and you wanted to hit those benchmarks, they're not super fast. Like most people could achieve those numbers, right?
Yeah, of course. So I think like 40 minutes of 10K, it is possible with like 3 times good running sessions. If you have that into your training week, it is to 100% achievable to run 10K in 40 minutes. But the session should be good. And yeah, hard intervals compared with good runs, with good strength work. And yeah, then it is 200% achievable, of course.
So I definitely want to come back to the type of running sessions you'd recommend. But just before we do that, So we've just kind of gone over what sort of speed you need to be a good competitive Hyrox runner in pro level. What's your kind of speed? So what speeds do you like to run at? So 1,000 meters, 5,000 meters, and so on.
So it depends on the workout what I do. So normally I do one speed session and one threshold session. Like my threshold pace is depends on my 10K pace, like 320 per kilometer. If I do the typical 1K threshold workout, like 6 by 1K with 200-meter rest. So I run like 320, but the rest between is only float running like a 5 minute per kilometer pace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really slow. Yeah, it should be a um,
Yep.
threshold training. And then I have a speed session like the typical 12 by 400 meter at your estimated for 5K pace, like 70 seconds or faster. That's my lovely or most important running sessions. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So if I could ask you, so what's your best 5K time? What's the best you've ever run a 5K, and where do you think you are, or where you were last season? Where are you running to at the moment?
So I think last season I could run a 5K like 15:30, 15:45. Yeah, I was in a really good running shape before my injury, but yeah, under 16 minutes. So I say to my competitors. So I'm like not the typical strength athlete. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that much big. So I need to be the best runner in the field,
Yeah, yeah.
because I have a little bit weaknesses like in the sled push. I'm not the fastest, but it's okay. So I want to improve my running and be also good, but not the best at the strength workouts.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody, and also just to say that a sub 16 5K to me is just mind blowing because I know I know how bad I feel when I run like a 20-minute 5K and I feel like I'm gonna die. So to do that 4 to 4.5 minutes faster just blows my mind. So that's awesome. But so if somebody's watching this now and they take your advice and they're like, okay, I really want to become good at running and I really want to start implementing some good quality sessions, which is what you said. What
Yeah.
sessions would you say to someone, this is like the minimum, or this is like the most bang for your buck, if you know that expression. So the best sessions that you should add in, like this is what you should add in to become a good runner.
It depends how often they want to run, but yeah, it's difficult. So I think at this state of the preparation for a Hyrox season, I would say to concentrate on the speed work. So
Mm-hmm.
like I like the workout like 15 by 200 fast, 200 easy at your
Mm-hmm.
5K pace. I like that, or 12 by 400 meter with 200-meter float.
Mm-hmm.
That's in your fast running time. And if you only want to run 3 times a week, I would do one speed session, one normal run, maybe with some threshold at the end, like an increase tempo run, and one easy run. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
easy long run. So that's if you want to run 3 times a week, I would say this is a good opportunity to improve your running. But
Mm-hmm.
I would change it weekly. So maybe 1 week speed, 1 week threshold, maybe 1 week more zone 2 work or more aerobic work. And if you switch these types of training, you have more fun, of course, because it's boring to do the same stuff all the time. That's most important for me, is that my clients have fun on their training.
Yep.
So it should be different all the week. And yes, that's important.
Yeah. So that's what you'd say to someone is kind of the minimum amount. Like, this is what you should be doing if you want to get good at running, but maybe you don't have too much time. If somebody came to you and said, "Tim, I want to become the best possible runner I can be, and I don't care how many days or time you tell me to put in, I'll do it," what would you say would be the best schedule for them?
So only when the client wants to improve his running, not the whole Hyrox performance. Um, I mean, 2 interval sessions per week would be perfect, and then two other runs. So 4 until 5 times is perfect if the client have a runner history. Yeah. So
Yeah.
because if a beginner of running and comes to me and say, okay, you want to run 6 times a week, I say that's too much,
Yeah.
because it's not good for his tendon, and then he get injured, and then we need to stop running. So if a beginner comes to me, maybe I would say, okay, we can train 5 times endurance per week, but then we have a bike session, maybe a hard bike interval session, maybe a swimming session, and 3 running session. It's also good to improve the performance.
Yep. Yep. So so you say 2 of those sessions would be interval sessions, which I think
Yeah.
most people will be familiar with. What would be the other, so if they're doing 5 sessions to 6 sessions a week, what would be the other 3 or 4 sessions that you'd advise people to do?
Yeah, so the other 3 or 4 sessions is maybe when we say, okay, 5 times a week. So we have 2 interval session. I would say, okay, we have one easy nose breathing session in the morning, one normal run, like zone 2 or zone 3 session. Yeah. And then we have one long run. And then it depends if my client want to run a half marathon. So you can put some specific paces into the long run. Yeah. But it depends how much how much training he had in the week. Maybe if he had 2 other strength sessions in the week, you need to look, okay, how you recover, that it's not too much, because it makes no fun to have hard intervals with heavy legs, and it don't
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sense.
yeah. And we were talking about it before we came on. You said if you do go into your interval sessions with heavy legs, you're not going to be able to hit the speeds and effort that you want, and so you won't get the adaptions anyway.
Yeah, so it's hard. Yeah,
Mm.
so maybe you can have the paces what you want to reach, but the problem is your regeneration. Yeah,
Mm.
needs
Mm.
longer and longer and longer, and you get tired, more tired through the whole week. And then that's the point. So we have a leg day after the interval session with the heavy legs in 2 days. So you do the heavy leg session with heavy legs, and then the um, the person that you maybe get injured through the leg sessions increase, because you do it
Yeah,
with heavy legs. So it don't make
yeah, yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And okay, so two questions I've got about the schedule. You said the first one is, how important do you think zone 2 work is for running? Do you think you do more or less zone 2 work than most people?
It's funny because what is zone 2? What you would say? What is zone 2?
Yeah, so
For you?
For me, I would say zone 2 would be like under 135 beats per minute for like an extended period of time. So maybe like 45 to 60 minutes. That's
Yeah,
what I
so
would.
so it's funny because a lot of people talk about zone 2 because it's easy to say, but
Mm,
I make it dependent on the high heart rate of every single client. So I
mm,
don't say, okay, do zone 2 work. Yeah, so I say, okay, run with this and this heart rate individual of every client. Yeah,
mhm,
it
mhm.
is important, but it is only one training technique of some training techniques. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
a good thing to have a good aerobic base, a good motor. Um, yeah, maybe like if you train five times a week, yeah, at least 2 times should be easy work.
Hmm. Hmm. And
Okay.
the second point I wanted to ask you about was you just mentioned float speed, which is something I've heard a lot more lately, but a lot of people probably won't know what it is. So when you're talking about intervals and running with floats, what do you mean?
So float means that you don't um, that you. It's like after the interval you run, yeah, the 200 meters, but not that much too slow that you almost go walking. So it's like a easy run, yeah. So you can name it zone 2, zone 2
Yeah,
float,
yeah.
yeah. So, and that's important for Hyrox because you don't have the classic intervals. So you don't have the 1K and then you stop, you can breath.
Yep.
So you need to go further and further, go on, go on, go on. And that's why I like to work with float. Yeah.
Hmm. I think it's really interesting actually because do you know much about CrossFit?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. So I went to a seminar with Chris Henshaw. I don't know if you know him, but
Yeah.
he does the aerobic capacity for CrossFit and for CrossFit Mayhem, and he was saying that he actually does the same, not just with running, but with say like wall balls and things like that, where he's saying that your body adapts to stimulus, and so if you do an interval of any kind, so it could be wall balls or it could be running or it could be rowing, and you stop, your body gets used to doing something and then stopping. And so he was saying that he's been working with this float idea where he would make someone do a hard effort, but rather than just purely stop, he would have them do something in the middle, and that recovery over time would increase. So, for
Yeah.
example, he was saying you could do a set of 50 wall balls, and then rather than just resting for like 2 minutes, he would have somebody do like an air squat, for example,
Yeah.
for 2 minutes, and then go back into the wall balls. And I think
Yeah.
that's very similar to what you're saying about the float side of things. So I found
Of
that
course.
really interesting.
Yeah, so in running, it's a little bit different because if you want to go hard, maybe 5K, you have this 3 by 1K all out with 2 minutes rest. It makes sense, yeah. But
Mm-hmm,
for
mm-hmm,
high rocks, I do the same. I work often with active rest, like slap push, and then active
mm-hmm,
rest, not only do nothing. I like this idea, and I think you improve your performance a lot when you don't rest. So if you do some active rest instead.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so one thing in your personal life, you're involved in sports science, right? Sports
Yeah.
research. Yeah. Do you have you found there being much like crossover? Have you learned much from your sports research that you've applied to Hyrox?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Mm,
Through my master of sports science, I work a lot of studies, and then I can put of all studies the most important things for me and implement it in my training. Yeah, but you should adapt everything individually on your own personality.
Yeah.
So because if someone don't like strength training, yeah, but it's in the study it say, okay, you need to do strength training to improve like you're running or something else, but if you don't like it, you don't do it. So you need to find an opportunity to find a way to put strength training into the training, like other kind, like in workouts, or that it makes fun for you. So that's for me the most important thing is you need to change something um, to have this long term effect of training that it makes fun for you.
I think I'd find it hard to be surrounded by studies a lot, because whenever I read an article about something about training, so like it'll say I don't know, like just for example, float. So it'll say like athletes using float is what they should be doing to improve their running. I'll be like, I've got to include that. And you must
Yeah.
get this stuff all the time where you see like this will make you a better athlete, this will make you a better athlete, and you're just like, I can't do everything. So
No, you can't do everything. So it's funny because if you look some videos on YouTube from the best triathletes or runner, they do nothing special. They do all running workouts, interval sessions. But the most important thing for everything is like the consistency. So it don't need to be perfect every session. But if you do it all the time, about a period of maybe 6, 8, 12 months or years, your performance will increase. But if you have this idea of every session needs to be perfect, 100%, it makes you sick with the time, because you're angry if something don't going well in your training, but it's okay. So that's the most important thing to say to you. It don't be perfect. It should be work for you.
So talking about consistency, one thing that a lot of people who come into Hyrox start wondering, especially if they're from a CrossFit background, is how to begin building up their mileage so that they don't get injured. So if you were to advise someone, obviously you said earlier, don't just go out start running 6 days a week, but how would you build that up?
Mm. So yeah, if you want to improve your running at Hyrox, I mean, it's only a 8 kilometer run. So I don't think you need to run 100 kilometer each week. So important is that you maybe increase your mileage each week, or your kilometers between 5 or 10%. So at the beginning, I would say, okay, only increase your long run each week. Like start with 60 minutes and then increase it with 5 minutes every 2 weeks. Then have good interval sessions, maybe a long ride on your bike, and then it's good. So about 5 until 10% to increase the
Excellent.
mileage. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what would you say? So once people are increasing, what would you say would be the ideal mileage for somebody who wants to be competitive at Hyrox to build up to? And then you said 100's probably too much. Is there a number where you're like, if you're running this much, that's about perfect in addition to all the other Hyrox stuff you're doing?
Yeah, so it depends how many sessions you have each week, you know. So if you run like, yeah, it's, I think at least so 30 kilometers. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
minimum
Mm-hmm.
30 kilometers. I think good is like 50 kilometers is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Cool.
and if you want to be a really, really good runner, then it's like 60, 70, 80 kilometers is very good. But at least minimum of 30 kilometers, and good is between 40 until 60 kilometers. And I think it 30 kilometer works for everyone. So it's like
Mm.
one normal run, one long run, one interval session, and you have 30 kilometers.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. I hope that people listening to this are getting excited because everything you've said so far is very achievable.
Yeah,
so, so
that
you know,
is.
you're not, yeah, you're not saying like, right, everyone needs to run 200 kilometers. They need to be running a 25
No,
minute,
no,
25-minute
no.
10K.
So everyone have a life
Hmm.
beside of
Hmm.
the sport. So, and I
Yeah.
think time is the most important thing in our life. So I'm
Hmm.
not a big fan to have like 3 hour sessions,
Hmm. Hmm.
because we have so much other things to do and to enjoy the family time, to enjoy time with your friends. And I don't want to that my clients train like 5 hours per day. So
Hmm. Hmm.
maybe they do it like 2 or 3 weeks, and after that they don't have any friends, and
Yeah.
the mind fucks off. So it don't make sense
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. 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 So this is probably going to be the hardest question that I'm going to ask you, and it might even be one that you say there's just no answer to. But with just based on people you've worked with and being a runner for a big part of your life, how fast can people who run expect to progress if they stay consistent? So is there like um, with running? What I'm trying to say is do people get faster like over a very very slow period of time, or actually will they notice over like specific increments will they improve?
Yeah.
Mm.
So okay, it's hard. So I think mm if someone comes to me who run 45 minutes, like on 10K,
Mm.
it's definitely achievable that you run 40 minutes above a time period of 6 months. So for me, it's not that much difficult to improve your time, like a minute per kilometer of 4 minutes or 3:45,
Mhm.
because you can run this pace very fast if you train right. It's it's going to be difficult if you want to run like 35 minutes on 10K. Then
Mhm.
you need to have the right running technique, the right training. Then it's going be difficult. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
for the first, you can improve really, really fast your running if you do it
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, it's really good to hear because I think when people come into Hyrox, the running side of things really scares people, because I think a lot of people who come into Hyrox are from a CrossFit background, and so I think what you said today is that you can build up your mileage, and you don't need to be doing crazy mileage. You
Yeah,
can you can improve your running well quite quickly, if you're consistent, and I think hopefully people listening are excited by that
because
for sure.
the problem not of all CrossFit runners, but some CrossFit athletes, they run in maybe in the red zone all the time, or in the yellow zone. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they come home after a run of 40 minutes in a yellow or red zone and say, okay, running is awful. Of course, it's awful if you stay the whole time in the red zone. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need to find the right way into running.
Mhm.
And I would
Mhm.
say I have a lot of clients who don't run really much before, and now
Mhm.
they love running, because if you start to run slow, yeah, you think, oh, it's not bad. You can calm down, you can reduce stress, you can think about the day, and it's like a mediation, yeah, and that's important. to go not all out every run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's because a lot of people who start with running say, okay, running is awful.
So one thing that I've seen you doing, so we just talk about technique actually. One thing I've seen you really pushing quite a lot on your social media is running drills. So this sometimes you do these as a warm up, and sometimes you do you say here's 5 drills you should be doing for your running. How
Yeah.
important are these running drills and technique for people if they want to improve running?
Oh, for me, it is really important. 2 points, because if you have a good running technique, your running economy improves.
Hmm.
So you need less oxygen per step. So that's
Yep.
great. So we have
Hmm.
more oxygen for the stations. Yeah. So
Yep.
running technique is really, really important, and you look much more better if your running technique is good. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the second advantage. And I think when the people say to you, you look really slow when you run, but your pace is very fast, then you have a good running technique. But
Mm.
everyone should should do drills, because then you have the right yeah, like the right hip flexion, and the right arm work. And it's really important to run good and especially fast,
Hmm.
because if you have a really bad running technique, there is a point you can't run faster because your technique is shit.
Yeah, yeah. It's really it's funny because for me, I'm not very experienced as a runner, but I can look at you and Dylan Scott's another guy who I look at when you run, and I can tell you're running well. Like you can tell like the difference between someone who runs well and
Yeah,
someone who's not running well. You know, like it looks nice, like it looks like you're almost like floating, and I
yeah,
think that. Yeah, and that's like such when you see someone running well, it's such a good thing. Do you think that you can train this by yourself, or do you need to go, because I know they do like labs, right, where like you go on a treadmill and they tell you how good or bad your running is, or you can get a running coach obviously.
yeah. It's hard to find it out if your running technique is good. Maybe make a clip from you when you run, and then look at it, and then you can decide if you look good or not good.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. Maybe one important thing is that you land on the middle foot, not behind,
Hmm.
and then that you can check it with your smartphone with slow mo, and then that your hip isn't too much.
Like at a back at an angle.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's also important. But yeah, it's difficult if you're a beginner of running to decide, okay, if my running technique is good or not.
Yeah.
But you can send me a video. I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
check.
that's it. You're in trouble now because you're going to get 60 DMs.
It's okay. It's
People saying how good at running am I?
okay.
so so yeah, in very on a similar note to that, so that's running form. Um would you do you do much extra stuff in terms of strength exercises and prehab and rehab exercises specifically for running?
Yeah. So if you look like which muscles you need for running, is especially the hip flexors. So I do for the hip a lot of work to train my booty a lot,
Hmm.
because it's one of our biggest muscle in our body.
Yep.
It's really, really, really important for running, and especially the hamstrings.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's really important, because if you do like the Hyrox stuff, your quads are more than important. So like a slap push, a lot of the quads are working. So like the accessory work is like the hamstrings, my booty, and some of the hip flexor work.
Hmm. Hmm. And So what? One question I was going to ask you about specifically building leg muscles is: do you do much hill or elevation running at all, or do you try and
Yeah.
do everything flat?
So at the moment, in this part of the preparation of the Hyrox season, I do some hill runs. Not I at the moment, but my clients to improve the strength, endurance. Yeah, it makes definitely sense. That's one part of training type you can use. Hill training like hill sprints. Yeah, I like to have like the combination between hill sprints and after the hill sprints like a fast 1K with heavy legs. Yeah, I do a lot of that. It makes fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, why not?
You live in quite a hilly area, right? I've heard.
Yeah, yeah, in Bavaria
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
south, so I have a lot of hills here.
yeah, yeah. Because one of my friends I was talking to before the podcast, he said make sure you ask Tim about how the hills are in his area because he lives in a
Yes,
city
it's
where it's
great.
flat.
You can come
He was
to visit
jealous.
me. Yes,
Yeah,
we can go
yeah,
hiking.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't know how I'd keep up though. so you just mentioned you're not running much at the moment, but you're swimming a lot, you're riding your bike. Do you think the fitness for these two carries over well?
Yeah, so running, of course, to run is the best to improve your running. But
Hmm.
at the moment, I compensated. So at the moment, I say to me, I want to have the biggest aerobic motor I've ever had. So yeah, it's like a lot of aerobic work of the bike the whole week, and I think that works. You can also do hard interval sessions on the bike,
Hmm.
and then I looked some videos of running so that my mind don't forget how to run good. And I'm confident that when I can running again, that my fitness stays very high.
Hmm. Hmm. I know quite a few athletes, right, do a lot of cycling instead of running, and they all seem to say that it does a very good job of holding their aerobic base.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's really good. You can improve like your aerobic capacity, and then you don't have that much like damage for your bones or other tendons. And yeah, it's good. It makes fun. You can do it with a lot of friends who are good at biking, and I think it's a good alternative for maybe your long run
Hmm.
or for to have an active rest maybe
Yeah.
to get fresh in the next day.
As you were saying earlier as well, if whilst you're cycling, you can watch TV. So you're watching the Tour de France documentaries
Yeah,
and
all
stuff
the
at the moment.
time.
So, so
Like I'm
yeah,
a profi now. I know everything. Yeah, it's funny, but only until Saturday. Yeah, so then I need to run again, hopefully, because
yeah,
there's no
yeah.
Tour de France anymore.
Or find a new Netflix show. So
Yeah,
as well as DMing Tim your running form videos, send him some Netflix
yeah, yeah.
recommendations.
Also good.
Yeah. So if somebody's watching this now and that they're really keen to get out and get running, what's the biggest piece of advice you would offer to somebody who wants to really start like leveling up their running now?
If they want to go running, I would say they should have a look on the heart rate.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so they
Yeah.
need to have a heart rate monitor, and if they don't have one, that they can run and talk easily with
Hmm.
the friend.
Yeah.
That's my most important device for the easy runs. Look that you run easy, that you can talk, or that your heart rate is in the green zone, and then go hard on the intervals. And if you
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
this, you will improve your performance in the
Hmm.
first month or 2 months.
Do you use your heart rate monitor? So I know lots and lots of people use their heart rate monitor for the easy work. What I don't really hear many people speaking about is whether they use heart rate monitors for threshold and for high end interval work. Do you use it for that as well to make sure that you're actually going as hard as you think?
Not really much, honestly. So on interval session, I want to have this pace. I want to reach this pace, and if my heart rate is higher than normal or deeper as normal, it don't doesn't that much important for me. Yeah, maybe you drink too much caffeine before the training, or a little bit too
Always.
nervous, and then your heart rate goes up or down. So it's different. But for my easy work, I use it because I want that my body can recover,
Yeah.
and it makes a big difference if you have a lot of stress the whole day. So your body says with the heart rate, okay, do a little bit more easy, and then it doesn't important if you run like 10 seconds slower or faster on your easy runs.
Yeah.
So look at your heart rate, your body say how fast you should run.
Awesome. And so you would say so easy. So you have heart rate for the easier stuff, and then paces and effort more so for the faster stuff.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
that. But
Awesome.
I would wear the heart rate monitor every time, and then you have a look after that. But I don't do intervals with only with my heart rate. I don't do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes on my tempo runs.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of training type to say, okay, every 10 minutes 5 beats per minute higher.
Also, what's really important is if you don't manage to get a picture of you whilst you're running or something, you can just screenshot the heart rate data and prove that you've done a hard interval session.
Yeah, also important. That's true.
so if everybody hopefully here has worked out that you're a very very knowledgeable guy for running and for Hyrox in general, they should be aware that you've got a brand new training program out, platform out. Could you tell us a little bit about what it is you will be offering through this and how people can find out more information?
Yeah, so I have a new training platform. It's called Culture Programming. So it's like a training platform where you can find running training plans, also running advanced training plans, or Hyrox training plans, pro, doubles, and normal. And yeah, so for me, it's important that my training plan make fun. It's like a mixture between strength, workouts, and interval session. And you find everything on the Instagram page, Culture Programming, and on the app, you can comment all your sessions, and I will read your comments and will give you my advance to your comments. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know people who train with you regularly, and everyone says you're very responsive and very friendly and encouraging. So I think
I hope so.
that's a really cool part about having a coach.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
my clients are my friends, and I think that's the best way because we are all athletes, and athletes are my biggest friends. So it works if you say, okay, you're not my client, so you're my friend, and then we talk like friends together to achieve the
Yeah,
goal.
that's really cool. Like, we've done a podcast a few weeks ago speaking about how important it is to have like someone in your corner and to be your coach and to be encouraging to you. So I think that's the really important part of like programming in the Hyrox space at the moment compared to like CrossFit, where they just email you a program and there's no way you can talk to anybody. So I
No,
think it
no,
is really helpful.
yeah,
Um,
of course.
Yeah, and also the app you use, I think Fitter, right?
Yeah, it's
That's yeah, really good app. If people haven't used it before, like you get your workouts during the day, about a week, about a couple of days to a week in advance, depending. So
yeah, I
definitely
like it
recommend checking it
too
out. Yeah.
because especially the comment function, that I see
Hmm.
the comments and see, okay, how does my clients feel? Maybe we need to change something, and if they have any question, I can answer directly. That's the best thing.
So I just got two more questions for you actually.
Yeah, no problem.
One of them I haven't warned you about, but I'm increasingly interested about is how is it for you, kind of like 3 or 4 years ago, like nobody really knew who you were in like a sporting sense, like it was
Yeah,
you, and now you're, I don't think anyone in Hyrox necessarily is famous, but you're very well known in the Hyrox space, and people look up to you and they see your results. There's a lot of eyes at you. How does that feel for you as an athlete and as a person? Like, is it strange? Have you got used to it?
yeah. Honestly, it's great. So I start with Hyrox in 2018, and if I someone tell about Hyrox, nobody knows what it is. And
Hmm.
now a lot of people, like 50% of the people, when I talk, okay, with them, I do Hyrox, they know from Hyrox, and that's really great. So in the beginning, you put a lot of work into Hyrox, into your running, and nobody knows from them. And now it's great that Hyrox goes more popular,
Hmm.
and I'm very happy to be a part of it, of the journey, and a part of the community. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, and it's really great for me. So when I came into the sport, and instantly there were like so many just likable people, like people such as yourself, and people like Lauren Weeks, and people like Megan and Michael Sandback. Like all these people are not only like really good athletes to watch, but just good people. And a bit like you
Yeah.
were saying earlier about like DMing you, like you can't do that in other sports, right? You can't just DM someone like in reply to their story, and quite often you get like a response, like even if it's just like
Yeah.
a like, or yeah, and that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing of Hyrox. Isn't that Hyrox is a great sport, of course, but I think the people are the greatest thing of Hyrox,
Hmm.
because everyone is a great athlete. We are all friends together, and that's the greatest thing, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And so people will be wondering what's next for you, like what's coming up. So you've said that you're hopefully going to start getting back into running, but what's the goals with that High Rock season? And also heard that you've got a potential to do a triathlon as well.
Yeah, so the triathlon is in 2024 after the Hyrox season, I
Hmm.
think. So of course, my aim this season is to be, of course, the best. So it's
Hmm.
hurt a lot in my heart. The biggest heart pain I've ever had after the championships, believe me. So
Hmm.
I want to be the best this season, of course, and I train hard, train smarter than before, and yeah, I want when I race, I want to win. So
Hmm.
that's my goal, to win every race when I go to the start line. And yes, so I think the first race will be then the November. Um, the major race in Chicago, I think. Yes.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's cool. So you're such a friendly and happy person, but you're like a real fierce,
Oh,
really
thanks,
fierce
thanks.
competitor. Yeah. And I think as well, like you could probably give Alexander Ronkovic a call to help you with your swimming, and Tobias Latwin to help you with your cycling. They were both
Yes.
like high level
Yeah,
pros,
I will
right?
write Alexander that I
Yeah,
go in
yeah.
faster into swimming. That's a good point. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. They're both awesome. So yeah, thank you very much, Tim. Just before I let you go, can you tell people where they can follow you on Instagram as well?
Yeah, you can follow me, of course. My name is Tim Wenisch.
Hmm.
You can find me on Instagram, and also you can find in my bio culture programming.
Yep.
Yeah, follow me. Write me a message if you have any questions. Send me a video of your running technique. And yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.